Welcome back to another episode of Pushing Back Chaos with me, Paul Melon McFadden. Thanks very much for stopping by, spending your time with us. We really appreciate it. I hope you are all well out there and are pushing on. Joined by my usual partner, Mike. How you going, mate?
Melon, what's up, brother? Everything's good here. It is Thanksgiving week here in the US, so it is a Monday night before Thanksgiving. A little bit different. I know you guys don't have it in Australia. It's kind of funny that probably some Americans would believe that Thanksgiving is everywhere, but sorry, nobody came to Australia. It was just a bunch of drunk Irishmen and found a bunch of koalas and kangaroos. So.
If they did have it here, it'd be the other end of the season. You know what I mean? It'd be at the end of our autumn, our harvest.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
this is like our spring. Funny old thing.
yeah. But yeah, man, everything's good here, man. It's been great. Old Mike turned 37 the other day. I
You
know.
old bastard.
Old Jeez, dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
I prefer
Oh my God. You were
wise
so
and
much
handsome, but
you were
okay.
so much more of a young go-getter when I met you.
Yeah, I don't know what happened, dude. I think you and Raph really degraded my life. But
Broken down old man.
something, yeah. I make noises every time I get up. My knees crack and pop. I mean, I complain. I expect a coffee every time I stand up. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's weird. You guys rub off on me pretty good.
You blew your knee out.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm falling apart, Melon, but my brain is semi intact, and I'm still glad to be here. So we'll see if we can pump out a good episode, or we just totally farted away.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we had a really good chat last week, episode 84, achieving the goal. What's your why? So building a personal why,
Mhm.
getting to the heart of the matter and trying to work through the stages of mastery from unconsciously incompetent when you don't even know you don't know how to do something, then consciously incompetent when you try something for the first time and you realize you're no good at it. That if you suffer and build for a long time, you can push into the conscious competent level where you know you can do the thing. You've pushed through a barrier where things were it was fun and then it got hard. And you've pushed through that hard part on the other side into where mastery begins at conscious competence. And there's that fourth level of unconscious competence where you don't even have to think about the thing anymore to be able to do it well. And this week we thought we'd expand now from that key element of establishing your why. What is it? What is the reason you're doing the thing? What is the ultimate purpose or goal that you're driving towards? Could be in your professional life, like Mike and I, military, aviation, or SF. Could be in a sporting team. Could be another professional work situation. It could be in your personal life. Could be family or intimate life as well, where you're trying to aim for something at the top level. And I feel like we should be applying this across all areas of our life if we can. This week, Mike and I thought we'd then start expanding now out into team, and it could be that sporting team, it could be the family or the husband wife situation. So, what's the team's why? How are we going to start to break this one down, Mike?
Mm. Yeah, thanks for introing that, Melon. So last week we're looking at the individual level and why are we as individuals wanting to start something new, something challenging, whatever. Uh, you know, just a quick little review, ask yourself a question. Think about something that you said you always wanted to do or wanted to try, and then what was your why? Hey, I wanted to go and be the best golfer I could ever be. Why did you want to do that? Well, because I've never done anything hard and I really wanted to see if I can master something and I like being outside and I found golf to be that challenge. Okay, that's great for you as an individual. Okay, understood. Now what we're going to expand into is into the team. All right. So say you're
Mm,
going up into a team. Now we're going to define a team not just as military, not just as aviation or sports team, but friends and family as well. It all applies. And one thing that we're going to identify is now what is the team command group, family, friend circle, what is their why? Why do they exist? What is their purpose? What is their, in the military will say our mission statement. Okay.
Mm,
That's establishing this is why we exist. This is our purpose. This is our capabilities. And this is who we are as a group, not as an individual. The reason we are going to talk about this is because it's, I think definitely today more so than 50 years ago, but you have a lot of individuals coming in with high expectations of, hey, I showed up, therefore I should be given X. Um, Understanding that individuals come in to a environment where there's team efforts going on, um, how do you blend your
mm,
individual why and your capabilities and talents or gifts into the community in order to push that mission statement forward or align with their culture or whatever it is or their existence? Um, just a quick little quote that popped in my head, for what I do is uh, the uniform doesn't make the man makes the uniform. Okay. And I really like that one because it says, you don't just show up and you put on a uniform, whether it's football, whether it's soccer, whether it's rugby, military, whatever. And all of a sudden you got some magic fairy dust over you. And hey, now you're part of the group and you're just in this whole thing, this team environment. Uh, it's what you bring to the table as an individual initially. What are your gifts? What do you have to offer here? Are you knowledgeable within something that we can use? But then also going in and buying into the basics, buying into the belief system that is established already in that culture or team. Um, it can be very hard to do that. People show up and with a sense of entitlement. Well, I worked my ass off, so I deserve to be here. Okay, yes, you might be there, but what do you have to offer us now that you're here? Right? How do you transform individual into team,
mm,
bringing your talents? And that's why I like that quote, is because that uniform, that symbol, that jersey, whatever you want to label it as, means nothing without the individual character, values, beliefs, and capabilities and execution. Um, that is so important going into the team and figuring out where you fit in into there. That's one of the hardest things, man. That's why you see sports teams that are loaded with talent and they can't win a game because they can't work together or they're not communicating the right way. They're just expecting to just show up and win by, hey, we're just talented. We're the most talented team on the field. And then you have this team that's won one or two games come in and they end up sweeping you. It's like, how did this happen? What's the difference? So anyway, that's just a little opener about talking about
yeah.
transitioning from individual to team and like what the meaning of that is, why it's so important to understand your why and why you are there, and then understand why the team or the culture, the command, whatever, why that exists and what they do and where you're fitting into that.
I thought that's great, Mike. I thought there was a couple of good quotes from Simon Sinek, bit of a leadership and innovation entrepreneur guru. One of his ones is when are financially invested, they want to return. When people are emotionally invested, they want to contribute.
Mm,
This is around the heart of being in a team. And another one, a team is not a group of people who work together. A team is a group of people who trust each other. So I think we can have that just in the background of what we're talking about when we're referring to a team. So we're talking about people emotionally invested, so they want to contribute, and they're working together because they trust each other. Okay, so there's that is in the background of what we're talking about here.
hmm Yeah, trust is massive. If I can't trust you to do the little things of just showing up on time or talking to me or being honest or any of those other things, man, then like I probably just can't work with you. Like trust is so massive of understanding of like, yeah, that a return in investment. Yeah, man, I like that. I like Simon Sinek, man. Um, he's actually done some work with my community before, and Nothing
Yeah,
but
right.
nothing but great things that I've heard.
Uh-huh. Oh, I mean, it's always good to get an insight from the inside, right?
Yeah.
Knowing that there's someone active in your community actually making a difference and not just spouting off is good. Yeah, so there's that trust and there's that emotional investment in a group, right? So I think Mike's talked about starting here. You have to come to the group with a certain level of professional or individual mastery. You have to come in there with an individual set of skills and capabilities. And now we're looking, as Mike has said, to blend them together. And this could be, when a couple get together and decide that they want to pursue, a relationship together, or they want to take that relationship into building for a lifetime together. It could be a couple deciding to create, to have bring kids into the world and create a family, or it could be a sporting team getting together. So there's always going to be a stage where you've got individuals and they're going to have to be transformed into a team, into a group. And Mike and I are contending that one of the key elements in the beginning of this stage is establishing the team's why. And so I know both of us have a lot of experience in building teams, in working with teams, in training teams, in participating in teams in a whole variety of areas. Mike, how have you seen this done well? That transformation of individual goals into a collective goal. Have you seen this done where it works or where it worked and you knew that everyone had a buy-in on that vision?
Well, good question. I'm going to use mine as an example, okay? And I'm sure it's different for everybody. This isn't the only way to do it, just to be very clear. But for me, growing up and seeing the job that I'm in now, it was reading about the history of this team,
Mm,
what was done, what they've accomplished in the past, their record, the type of person that really thrives in these adverse environments and doing these different things. Reading it, I was just like, wow, man, that is high level stuff. You have to be one hell of a person or to be able to even start that, let alone make it and then progress through it. So introducing history and understanding
mm,
the why. This is why I exist. My particular unit, it evolved over time, but was created in World War II for specific taskings with amphibious reconnaissance and demolitions. That was why they were born. That's why they existed, right? And it was very specific niche of why they did it and the importance of it and understanding that if they didn't do their job at the time, then the Marines would not be able to land in the Pacific Islands. The uh, coral and underwater obstacles laid out by the Japanese would hang up the boats. The Marines would have to jump out into the water, 20 feet, 10 feet of water in full combat equipment and drown, which did happen on one of the landings. The entire invasion failed because of the coral and yeah, thousands, like hundreds of, I want to say hundreds of Marines drowned. So, understanding of just like boom, right to the face. Like we are a combat unit. We are here to
mm,
support and other units and enable them to do their job. And that was like the first, the first wave of history for us. Now, going through the last, uh, 80 years that we've existed, Um, obviously, many wars have come and gone, and achievements have been acknowledged publicly. And you look at it, and so it's like, okay, this is who they are. This is what they do. This is their purpose. For us, it's a mission statement and why we even exist for special operations, unconventional warfare, right, and counterterrorism, right? Um, it's very defined. It's our doctrine of how we do things, and understanding that it is not about you, but it's about others. It's about our country. It's about serving our country. About whatever that mission is in particular. So there's the mission statement, but then into the specific unit is
mm.
understanding what is required of you as an individual that needs to be able to be prepared and execute at a very high level with a lot of trust, as you said, and great communication skills. And go into some of the worst environments on planet Earth and come out successfully. Um,
Mm.
whoa, what? Let me tell you, showing up at 19 years old on for day one, I looked around and I was 100, I was 6'1", 173 pounds, Melon. I was a string bean. And I looked around and said, well, I messed up because there were some big boys that looked like they were in way better shape than me. And I said, man, I did not show up prepared and I'm gonna get hammered. Um, but I understood where I was and why I was there, and understanding that, hey, they're looking for something different. They're looking for someone that can contribute, that's teachable, that can learn their ways. I mean, that we were in the middle of the global war on terrorism the first couple of years, tons of experience, tons of talent there. And I had to show up and know that this is supposed to suck, as I talked about last week, that,
That's right.
this shit ain't for nobody. But then
Nobody
also,
wants to do it.
nobody wants to do it. But then also, hey, I also need to really be humble and I need to learn. I need to learn how to operate within this environment. I need to learn how to walk, talk, shoot, communicate, um, do everything. How to wear my uniforms right, because everything has a purpose, and understanding the why for every little thing. Because if I don't do that, this is the other part of the why. If I don't do that, someone dies, someone gets injured, and it's no gradually warm up. It's 0 to 100, and if you're not tight, then you've already failed before you step off for the mission. So that's just a little thing for me, man, is just looking at it and understanding what you're stepping into and identifying why they exist, what's their history. The history was huge for me, and I wanted to be a part of that. I wanted to be part of their history and have a little tiny piece in it. And
Mm.
that's really special when you can look back and be like, man, I was part of 20 years of history, and done things that some people know about and some things no one will ever know about. Um, but that's who we are. That's our culture. That's our team. That's our mission. That's our lifestyle. That's our choices we make, for the greater good.
Such a great insight to share, Mike. So you had real clarity around the overarching like reason for existence, raison d'etre, I think the French say, for the unit overall. Like, what's the unit mission statement? What's the history? Where does this unit come from? And I've had that in each of the units I've been part of as well. I remember being part of 11 Squadron in the Royal Australian Air Force in a maritime patrol, and really being aware of the history of the origins of that unit out of World War II, and fighting against the Japanese and the Nazis in World War II.
Hmm.
Brave men who went ahead of us. Um, how did you then see the integration of the individual? So you had to turn up with a certain skill set and an attitude. You're not going to get into the unit yet. Wouldn't have passed any of the training and selection to get in. You've turned up with a skill set and an attitude, and you're willing to learn, and all of those great characteristics.
Hmm.
And how have you seen that, maybe that overall like command level mission statement translate down into like a group, a smaller team? How have you guys had that, seen that when it's been a culture has been built strongly around a clear goal? Like, what was done? What were some of the things that you've seen work in that area, Mike?
Well, if you think that you're just going to step into any arena that's brand new or a team environment, and yes, you may immediately contribute, but if you feel like you're already prepared to just jump in and like everything's there and you're going to do it right the first time, then I got news for you. One of the things, man, and I'm again speaking of experience, but anything I've ever gone into that involves a team, or a command or a job where there's others involved, uh, is I don't know what I don't know, and I need
Yeah.
to ask a lot of questions. I need to let people know that I have no idea what you're talking about. Can you please show me? Can you please explain to me? Can you show me the reason why we are doing this thing right now? You know, uh, Understanding the why. You know exactly what we're talking about. But hey, why do we do this maneuver? Why are we wearing this stuff? Why are we showing up so early? Why are we having these team meetings first thing in the morning? Why are we staying late? Right? There's reasons for everything. And if you want to see and get the bigger picture, you need to ask the right questions. You need to step up. You need to volunteer. You need to say, hey, I don't know what the hell we're doing, but I'm here to be part of this team. I want to show you I want to be here. So, hey, where do you need me? Where can I contribute to help out the team? Right? As a brand new guy in my job, you know what you do after you just went through, the world's hardest training? You're mopping the floor and you're coming
Yeah,
in 30 minutes early to wipe down tables and you're bringing
yeah,
in monsters to stock up the fridge in the morning, um,
right.
and going out and picking weeds and repainting the parking lot, right? That's what you're doing. But you know what? When you do those little things and you're showing that you want to be there, that you're not bigger than the system, you're not bigger than the team already, it allows the guys who and girls who are very talented to focus on all the other things that need attention. And you're alleviating the stress, you're alleviating the small,
Mm.
minute tasks that don't seem important but still need to get done. Any person that comes in with that attitude where I'm just like, man, this person volunteers for everything. They're always asking good questions, not kiss my ass questions. It's just like, I already know you knew the answer to that. And you're asking questions to kiss my ass. Get out of here. You know what I mean? Like, you're not teacher's pet over here, buddy. You know? Um, but volunteering, asking questions, and immediately contributing to the culture or to the team of saying, hey, wherever you need me, it may not be specific to my talents right now, but for like right now, just put me where you need me and I want to help out there. Right.
So what I'm hearing here is like a real beginner mindset coming into a team that's operating at a certain level, joining a sporting team, a professional team in any kind of industry. In your example, in SF,
Yes. And
coming in having that beginner mindset of nothing's too small for me, nothing's too big for me. I'm here to learn. I'm here to be tasked. I'm keen to get in and amongst it. I wanted to be here, and
yep.
I'm motivated. I'm motivated to execute tasks, and perhaps even seeking out and accepting responsibility, which was always a delineator for me in my uh, like as a leader. Looking for the people who sought responsibility was a big split between people who could execute a task when given it to them versus the people who could come and find the next job and get on with it.
Right. And to quote Admiral McRaven and his, we talked about it a little last week, but his make your bed speech, right,
Yeah,
is, hey, we're trying to go be special ops guys and we try to have this revered, all this revered history come to life and we want to be these badass guys, whatever. Why do you care about me making my bed? This is stupid. This is pointless. And the whole point is, if you can never do the little things right, you'll never be able to do the big things right.
yeah,
Right?
yeah.
So showing up on time, being organized, being awake. Some people are showing up and they're sleeping in their car or not paying attention to the thing. It's like I need you to demonstrate the little things when you're coming into here and let me see it consistently. You're not just doing it to check a box, but you're doing it
Mm,
and really taking it on as a new way of life, like a new lifestyle, and you're literally sacrificing these other things to show up for the team in the right ways. However, we need you. You need to be like a Swiss Army knife. Um, if you can do those things and show me you can manage it, then I will give you more tasks to do. I'll give you a little bit more to manage once you can prove to me you can do the basics.
yeah.
Right?
And like how this shows up for people is often when you're in a leadership role, or, training young people, you see like I'll do it if I'm selected in the top team. I'll do it. I'll perform well when I'm playing in the English Premier League if soccer's your thing, or when I make it to the NBA, I'll give everything I've got, or when I've got the right girlfriend, I'm going to be great with her. But this at the moment, this is just like sort of beneath me, and I'm just marking time here. You know what I mean? I'm just treading water, and so therefore, I'm not going to give my best at the moment. But I've got much better than what I've got. Like I'm super capable, but I'm not going to deliver. And I have seen that time and again. And it's the people who are all in now in this moment that get sort of rewarded by, God and the universe, and recognized by their superiors, and are the ones that are developed, the ones that are given additional responsibilities and promotions and so on. Like the people who are like taking care of their finances, like they're managing their cash flows, are the ones that are going to have more accrue to them, and by demonstrating competence with that, they're going to be able to handle bigger things. It's not going to be like, well, now I'm going to get $1 million a year and I'm going to be rolling in it. Like I'll work hard when that occurs to me. It's the people who turn up when they're working hard on a normal income. They're demonstrating competence. They're demonstrating reliability. They're going to get promoted and going to have additional stuff given to them. So I feel like there's a real attention to detail in the moment, in the small stuff, that is a clear split between the people who are going to move up that level of mastery and move up in all of these organizations, including relationships.
Yeah. So, we're talking about the professional side, Melon. How would you say you would start the beginning of a relationship with somebody? So like you and Ches,
Mm,
right? Um, what's something a key factor of like stepping into a team or like, ultimately your family? Like how do you interact with Ches, Michael, and Annie as
mm.
your family uh, when you guys are moving across the world back to Australia into something new? How do you get them to buy in? How are they
Mm.
participating? Are they stepping up, going, "Hey, Dad, hey, Mom, where can I help out to make this easier? I want to be part of this family and contribute." What does that look like for you?
Such a good question, Mike. In our family, like it's not obviously in the beginning stage. We've been running this now. Cherry and I have been together for 23 years and married 21. And Annie is, sort of 2 months from turning 18, and Michael just turned 16. And so where we're at now is definitely there's buy-in from all four people into the family as a unit, and our success in all areas, the love and the connection, and the feeling that we're working in the same direction. Like we really communicate a lot. So we talk a lot. Cherry spends a lot of time with the kids, and I talk to them often during the week, and we spend a lot of time together on weekends. And one of the things we talk about is what it feels like to be part of the family when you know that the other three people are really working hard and are pushing in their direction. They're carrying out their responsibilities. So, I'm clear on what my role is, and this is one of the things we've clarified what the roles are in that communication stage, so they know that I'm away working for the family, bringing in resources. They know that Cherry is there nurturing and loving and taking care of the household and establishing routine, and um, providing love and all of that beautiful domestic stuff that she does so well. And also now has re-entered the workforce and is bringing in resources. Michael knows that his primary thing is working on academics. He had a hard year changing curriculums and moving internationally, and it's been a difficult year for him. But we really got clear his number one goal is academics, and when he really bought into that, there was a change in everything he did was then aligned with that goal, and has driven results there. And Annie, it's really centered around music for her and developing who she is as a young musician and performer. And, we've provided her with, she's gotten some new musical equipment, and we've sort of set up a studio for her in the garage. And then there's contributions that we all make around the family. Annie does what she can. You got to remember she's legally blind, but there's domestic contributions that she makes. There's Michael and she both cook. They both participate in cleaning the house. They know when mum's been out working that day that she's going to be returning tired, and there's things that they do to make contributions. So overall, the feeling is we've clarified roles, and the four of us going in the same direction. Like Michael was rowing this year, rowing in a boat. We're all pulling the oars in the same direction, and we're all coordinated with each other. And we're all making contributions, not just for ourselves, but for the family. Then we have a feeling, and all of us know when that is occurring, and we know if someone's a bit off, and we take time to address that when that difficulty arises, Mike. So a lot of stuff around communicating and clarifying roles, and also, yeah, getting us all working in the same direction as a team, and knowing that the other three people really appreciate the contribution that's being made by each individual.
Wow. Melon, I just made a decision. I think I'm going to come join your family. That was the best McFadden recruiting video I've ever heard in my life. Um,
Like it's not all freaking rainbows and butterflies. There's hard times for all of us, but this is the thing, when the hard times happen, the other three people are sort of rallying around. And when there's a team, you can sort of carry the one who's having a hard time. You've got that network effect that we referred to in previous episodes. You've got the strong safety lines and stuff that the other members of the team are providing. And it's not all work either. It's like it's important recreation. Like the kids, they love it when Cherry and I go out for a date night on the weekend. They're like, it, no joke, makes them really happy. Cherry and I are really happy when Michael is out with his mates having his fun time, when he knows he's done his study,
mhm.
or when Annie's going out and he's playing music or hanging out with friends and special people she has around her. So it's everything. It's all together. Knowing that the other people also filling their cup back up is part of this.
Mhm.
So no one's getting burnout, and it's not just a one way flow of all the energy flowing out of someone and they don't get anything back.
Yeah, no, that's great. And all I kept hearing is other people, others,
Mm-hmm.
others, families. Like it is all about other people, man. And one thing, you just said it too, is just like Michael and Annie love when you and Cheza go out because they know that what they're capable of. They can take care of the home while you guys go out for a nice dinner or go have fun together. Like you guys deserve it. And they get excited to see you happy. Um, that is a thing, and we talked about it a little bit earlier this morning, but when you're in that environment, yes, you want to get to where you're going and whatever, I don't know, goal or pipeline or whatever you got going on. You want to get to the end, right? Everybody does. Everybody wants to make it to the end of what they started. But having the mindset of, I have to do this. I have to, I have to, I have to. Shifting away from I have to as like a check in the box without meaning of just, hey, I'm mindlessly going to go do these things because people told me to, and this is what I have to do. So I'm just going to go do it, knock it out, and be like, okay, cool, done, check in the box. Versus, oh, you're asking me to do this? Yeah, I want to. I
Mm,
want to go do that. I want to do that for you. I want to do that for the team. I want to contribute. I want to be a part of this. You know, I have to versus I want to can change a lot of your mindset and what you're doing, right? When I hear somebody go, hey man, I need you to go out and do this, and they're like, yeah, do I have to? Versus, hey, I need you to go do this. Oh yeah, yeah, I got that. I got it. I want to. Let me at them. Let me get in there and crush this simple little tiny task. And if it's sweeping the floor, dude, I'm gonna make your floors look immaculate. If it's
mm,
filling up the fridge with monsters for all the rest of the guys, dude, they're gonna be the cleanest, nicest, most organized monsters in the fridge you've ever seen. Let me at it. It's those little things, man, and you can tell the people that bring that attitude with them. It's
mm,
moving, and you want to be around those people. You want to grow with those people. You want to be like them more. They just tick different. Unfortunately, there usually are test gates where you divide out the people who want to be there and the people who feel like they have to be there. Totally,
yeah,
totally different.
yeah. I think that there's a bit in this around. There's a step where you got to develop your shared values and goals. And this is going to happen in a professional setting, or it's going to happen as a couple, or it's going to happen in a family setting. And like when our kids were little, it wasn't as explicit, but hopefully they were seeing these same behaviors modeled. And it's one of the most difficult things about being a parent. It's even more than like with puppies and stuff. You just got to be on like all the time. Little eyes looking at you the whole time. And when you have your breakdown, which you will, you go and you talk to them and explain, and sometimes ask for forgiveness if that's warranted. But you've been modeling the behavior, you've been trying to model the values, and then later there's a time when you're going to clarify them, like we have with our kids now in their teens. And there was a step like that when Cherry and I got together, where we're initially attracted to each other, and then we sort of met each other's families, and you start to get a sense of the values and the principles that are in the background of this other person. And like that big alignment, I think, is the bit that is really what attracts a couple to wanting to share a life together and build a life together. Certainly, that was the case with Cherry and I, and it maybe is not like a clear, explicit sit down and let's nut out a mission statement like some professional settings that is done. But you've established what is like the values and principles and goals for you in this new team that might be different than what you had individually, and then you've got those aligned principles, and it's almost like it's a higher level than trust. Like how this other person will behave in a given set of circumstances because you really understand what their drivers are. And it's like a faith more than faith. Like it's a certainty about this other person and their behavior in the long run. And that you'll all have human ups and downs.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like this aligned principles and establishing the shared values and goals is like super important right in the beginning. And when that's done, then the individual can see, oh, my individual contribution in this area is going to push the goal for the team in that area. Like me sweeping the floors in here, or me getting in and doing the dishes for the family, or me going out to work remotely and bring back the resources is really helping the family or the team or the relationship move. And I think that key step around getting clear what they are for this new team that you're building is like, I think, one of the most important steps in this achieving the goal and trying to push towards mastery in a group setting.
Yeah, great points, Melon. Really good. Um, I'm trying. There's like three different directions I think we could take this, and there's so many things firing in my gorilla brain. But um, looking at this too, so contributing and going after things in order to help others, uh, wanting to versus having to,
Yes.
having a different thing, right? Also looking at, we talked about coming in, we're all gifted with something. Some of us are physically gifted. Other people are very intellectual. Some people are like really good communicators. Some have leadership traits that just are natural to them and they could just jump in and take charge. They just understand it. Everybody is given a gift. Um, Understanding what those gifts are or talents, you can call them whatever you like, but understanding that is definitely there's definitely a star by your name for something that you have to offer, what you're really
Mm,
good at, and what can get you in the door, so to speak. But past that, we were talking about this the other day, is talent versus discipline. Um, I like using the NFL players, right? Like I'm a big Steelers fan. We got this wide receiver named George Pickens. The guy is a freak on the field. He can contort his body and catch a football in ways and just it's really really impressive. But we just played a game the other night and we lost. But on the final play of the game, he was wrestling and fighting with another player instead of looking for the ball to catch the Hail Mary and wasn't even close. And he was in the end zone getting in a fight with somebody else, allowed his emotions to get over. He jump
mm,
arounds, he complains a lot if he doesn't get the ball, just random stuff. And it's like, man, you have some of the most freakish talent that you have to
mm,
offer to that team. And if you would just practice some emotional discipline, you would be phenomenal. You wouldn't be good. You would be great. And you would be such a huge benefit to this team, right? That's an example. But dude, look at our lives, like Melon. Like, what are you good at that you could be great at, but you haven't practiced discipline to get there, right? Obviously, aviation is huge for you, and you got to be on your P's and Q's to be a pilot. with all the variables and all the stuff that could go wrong. I mean, I don't even know. That's why I'm not a pilot. But but you look into it, it's just like, do you want to be good or do you want to be great? And what does that look like? Um, I never truly. So looking at it, Melon, you know, looking at what we do in our life, what are we good at that we could be great at? Is it a talent that we have? Are we really good public speakers? Are we really good at
Mm,
finances? Are we good at coaching? Are we good at cooking? You name it. Are you good at it? Can you be great at it? And what is stopping you from getting to that point? Why aren't you studying more? Why aren't you putting in um, some extra conversations? Why aren't you calling out to people who have the experience and that can provide it to you? Why aren't you taking that extra class or that college course? Um, you know, you know what it is, and then why haven't you done it? Is it a discipline? Is it something that you have to change around in your life? Coming in to contribute? Well, if you want to do these things, I need you to change your discipline in order to match it. So, if I need to wake up at 5:30 in the morning every single day, but I like staying up at night because I like watching movies or doing this or whatever, it's like, hey, I need you to adjust because I need you to do this for the team's why so that you can show up rested, you can show up prepared for this meeting that we have every morning. Um, and also, I don't want you getting caught in traffic. Like little things like that.
mm,
Changing your discipline to not be good, but to be great for the greater good of the group. Um, that's a conscious decision. That doesn't just happen. You don't just show up and all of a sudden you're disciplined with talent. Um, and you got to be honest with yourself and do an evaluation. That is something that you can gather on your own because we all know the truth, whatever we're doing or not doing. But also reaching out to the community, reaching out to the group that you're in, whether it's your team, your family, whatever, your work, your job, and saying, "Hey, what do I need to do better?
mm.
What aren't I doing? I'm not as good as I think I am, right? I want to be though. Give me your experience and how to get there. What could I do more of? Do I need to take it back and just stay at the basics for a little bit longer until I really master those, or am I going too fast? Um, and that's a lot of honesty, and it goes back to communication there. So, yeah,
It's such a good point around splitting out where our natural talents lie versus what we've really worked on. And like, I really feel like all of us, everyone listening, has got areas we know we were naturally good at. We've got other areas we've developed. And then there's, a third group of areas where, as you're saying, we're good but not great. And asking yourself why there can be a really great question.
yeah,
In a team setting, there's like a stage where when you're creating this why, you need to have an environment of trust. You need to have an environment of, psychological safety, which is a very popular term at the moment. It's just knowing that you can express yourself and you're not going to get shit canned. You know what I mean? People can actually be themselves. They can show up as their best self in the group. Like that's what the group wants. And in all the groups I've been in, family, intimate relationships, military teams, that is what we want. Um, and I've been thinking about how when I was a crew captain back in the day on the P3s back in my late 20s, I had a team of 20 like really highly trained professionals, pilots, navigators, tactical coordinators, air warfare, undersea, like anti-submarine warfare specialists. And so, all had a heap of training and had been in a bunch of previous crews, the way you always do, got different leaders. And when I was put in as the crew captain with there's three leads, three senior officers on the aircraft, and the crew captain is the one in charge. How we built this team, how we got alignment, and I know that there was a real connection between the three sort of senior people that we knew that we could let each other know that we actually were in the first place striving for excellence, that we wanted to be in that top category. Like we really wanted to do the job we were going to do. And this is, as you're saying, Mike, the global war of terror was underway. We knew there were deployments coming up to the Middle East on combat ops coming. There were skills we needed to be good at for that. And there were skills, generic overall warfare stuff that we had to maintain qualifications in as well. And the three of us really were legit. You know, we had a weekend together in Perth on a deployment in Western Australia, and you know, we connected the way a lot of military people do. We had a few drinks, and we just sort of put everything on the table pretty early. And from that, we knew what the other like genuine goals were. That these were two other people who were pushing in the same direction for excellence, and we shared our own personal experiences, and we got to know each other and know what was the other person doing. And from that, there was this environment where the three leads were aligned, and we trusted each other, and we knew that there was an environment of safety. It's not the terms we used back in the day. It was heavy banter and, you know, connecting over a few drinks, which is an Australian military thing to do. But out of that kind of practice, which you're probably familiar with like deliberate practice, where there's briefing, execution, and then a heavy debrief cycle of like trying to extract the lessons from whatever that training evolution was. It was simulator flying, ground training packages and stuff. To be like, how do we do? How can we improve more? And I feel like this is a key part of teams pushing through in a direction towards this top level of mastery that we're talking about. And this is something that the Australian Air Force does at a very, very high level, which is extracting the lessons after the flight or after the mission. Operating the aircraft is super expensive, and you never get as much time to fly as you wish you could. And it's like every hour airborne has cost the Australian public or the American public thousands of dollars. And it's like we want to get the maximum value for that. And so there's a heavy emphasis on debriefing and extracting the maximum learning so that we can all move together. Like what went well, what didn't go well, how can we address the weak areas, how we can continue to push the good stuff. And this, you know, I've seen it referred in the new literature as deliberate practice, where there's increasingly difficult tasks allocated and there's constructive feedback with actionable steps on how to improve. And I feel like I know that my background is really heavily built in that area, the debrief and improvement cycle. And I'm certain that the same would be the case for you. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, there's nothing that we don't do where we don't debrief.
Right.
Everything gets debriefed. Um, I love where we're going with this, and you know, you kind of said like one thing is like we're talking about mastery. Like we're all in the pursuit of starting something to become masters of it or perfection. Everybody wants to be, you know, the top tier, the elite. Perfection is the goal, the end state. Um, but when you're doing these things that Melon's talking about, you know, we call them AARs, after action reports, or we're getting around going phase by phase to the nitty gritty. Where did we mess up? You know what I mean? It's okay to like pat yourself on the back and acknowledge, which I think it's important to be like, hey, in these levels, we really executed really, really well, damn near perfect. But in these other areas, this is where our time and focus need to go. And this is for the individual. It's also for the team and understanding where that got maybe blurry at times, where it was more of an individual tasking, but it was for the team to execute. Um, like Melon said, having definitive rules is very important when it comes into this. But something that you need to keep in mind when you are in a team environment or you're coming into this new job or even with your family and doing like an AAR type, um,
Mm-hmm.
you know, evaluation of stuff is you always want to have progress. You always want to have something on the rise. It may be one thing out of five things that needs improvement, but as long as you have one thing, you know, or some of the people say, if I get 1% better a day, you know,
Mm.
I'm gonna do it. You know, they say, what is it, the 10,000 hour rule or something like that? If you practice something for 10,000 hours, you've pretty much achieved mastery at it. So we're not talking about 10,000 hours. We're not talking about 1,000 hours. We're talking about 1 hour. What did you do with that 1 hour? How did you operate in it? Right? Because it's not just 1,000 or 10,000. It's 10,000 individual hours of of perfect, as close to perfect execution. Perfect
Mm,
practice makes perfect. I love that one. Perfect practice makes perfect. Um, to getting to the end and the goal of mastery. So, looking at it is great. Evaluation of where you're at and what you've been through and where you failed is great. But always, always, always looking at your progress going forward. You never want to backslide, right? For yourself and especially for the team. Um, and that's why you need accountability. That's why you need to be open and honest. That's why you need
mm,
people that really, you know, really want to be there and want to help you, not have to help you. The differences.
yeah. This is the point I was going to raise is these things might sound to someone who hasn't done them like it could be just a bloodbath of finger pointing and sledging and, settling of grievances and stuff. But this is done inside the context of we know we're supporting each other's aspirations. We know what these other people really want to do. We know what the other half of the marriage or the other members of the rugby team or the people in that maritime patrol aircraft or special forces group. We know we've already had the buy-in for the why. People have had their opportunity to contribute and make statements about what they really want to do, and that's all they feel like their whys been included in the group why. So there's trust, and then they know that the feedback is it's open and honest, and sometimes super frank. I know Mike and I, when we talk offline, we know that feedback can be super direct where we come from professionally, and that's what we're used to. Feedback we'd get at work, we wouldn't give in a family or a intimate relationship sort of setting. But there's accountability, and there's a desire for that other person to be great, for them to achieve their goals, and you know that this other person has got your best interest at heart. And these are the teams that move towards mastery. When the coach really wants the players to be great, when the coach wants that individual to be their best, to get all the opportunities that they can, and the players are supporting each other like that, and the same in a family environment. And so, in those, with those provisos of people supporting each other's aspirations and everyone having a real strong why, that's when these debriefs, this deliberate practice, this progressive overload, constructive feedback, accountability, after action report, this is when it works. And I know that there's a lot of professional situations where there's very little debriefing. There's a lot of planning. Sometimes there's a briefing. There's always execution, but there's not necessarily the debriefing. And the debriefing is like a huge step where I know Mike and I have a huge level of mastery from the instructor roles we've had and the leadership roles we've had. And I know that when that debriefing is done effectively and it's done from a position of wanting the other person to improve and supporting their goals, there's just rapid improvement. It's quite unbelievable. And I see that at the moment with these Australian military students and the improvements they make from flight to flight when they take on the debriefing, when they know that the instructor wants them to be better and really wants them to succeed at their goals, the buy-in is immense, and some really hard debrief points can be taken on, and the progress is it's an amazing thing to see. And I mean that I just wanted to clarify that the trust, the buy-in, the why, and the knowledge that the other people want you to win is a key step prior, and then that debriefing is like a booster stage on the Falcon rocket from SpaceX.
Yeah. No, it's great. I like the little SpaceX thrown in there too, man. It's just wild that we
You
can
see
even
that
do
thing
that.
land? See that thing
It,
belly flop and land in the crane the other week?
it is insane. It's freaking insane. Talk about like a community that is like aiming for perfection. Like it's
Yeah,
insane. Uh,
that's right. I've got a friend, his son is studying astrophysics at Cambridge in the UK, and all of the students want to go work for SpaceX. All of them, every single one of them, doing this freaking super advanced degree. And it would have used to be in European, the EASA, the equivalent of NASA in Europe, and it's just not the case anymore. Everyone is like, they all want to go there because they know what's happening. I mean, nothing inspires better than results, right? I wrote this down earlier that success is the greatest motivator. And I've had like massive buy-in from my son in like the process of his academics and the process of his rugby training, the process of his weight training. When he's had these results, it just builds faith that the system is working, and you're like, right, okay, I see what's happening here. I'll get on with it. And certainly SpaceX has got that massive draw now to be able to pick the best talent in the world because of what they're actually achieving.
Yeah. Yeah, it's super inspiring, man. It's exciting to see. I mean, space level stuff with the amount of astrophysics and engineering and I mean, just accuracy. We're talking about accuracy about landing that thing from space direct down onto that little tiny pad where it catches it.
It's,
Like,
it's
unbel-
unbelievable.
yeah,
I
yeah,
watch that and I think, like, I've seen plenty of sci-fi and read lots of sci-fi, and I watch that and I'm like, my brain is like, this is not real. It can't be that this thing belly flops down and decelerates from, I think it's well over 10,000 kilometers an hour to land in the air. Some crazy stuff happening in the world right now. There are teams out there achieving, and I feel like all of us can aspire to a level of greatness or mastery above where we're currently at, As Mike
yes.
was saying earlier, talking about taking on that individual introspection, taking a bit of a look at yourself and being like, where am I sort of accepting okay? Where can I go for great? And I feel like personal lives is just a wonderful place to start. Like, how good is too good? And I feel like there's no level, there's no upper limit. And, working through this stuff is something that Cherry and I commit to doing. We have these debriefs. They're not sort of military style, but we do really take the turn. And I listen when she gives me feedback. We've got this agreement, she can call me on my shit. Like, she's the one, she knows all of the shadow, all of the weakest bits. And like, no shit. We've got to pick our time. You can't do it when someone's in the middle of it and fully spooled up. But these debriefing and aiming for excellence in things that are important to you is something we should all be encouraging each other and all pushing towards. Right on. Well, we're pretty much at the close there, Mike. Are there other elements that you wanted to drop here in this achieving the goal? What is the team's why? Building towards mastery, these initial steps of building towards mastery as a team. Because this is a bit of a series that we're going to work for the next few episodes. Because Mike and I feel like we've got something, we've got quite a lot of experience in this area in a very elite level that we would like to start imparting out into our community. So is there anything you'd like to finish with here today, Mike?
I'd like to finish with a quote, man. It was man, it's from World War One, but
Boom.
I love this one, and it was in a speech by then President Ronald Reagan. I believe it was 1981 or 82, something around there. I think it was 81, and he was giving a speech about a private trip towel that was enlisted into the military in World War One, and basically he was a runner, so he would take messages. They didn't have all kind of phones or whatever stuff back then, so you literally run from no man's land with a message and just run across a battlefield while it's being artillery shelled, like all these different stuff. And he wrote something called My Pledge, and he had a journal on him. He was killed, but when they looked at it, it was a message for his whole reason why and why he was there with the military, with the team, why he chose to go to war. And I just think it's so powerful. I actually keep this in my house, and I read it every now and then as a reminder. But in it for his pledge, it says, America must win this war. Therefore, I will work, I will save, I will sacrifice, I will endure, I will fight cheerfully and do my utmost as if the issue of the whole struggle depended on me alone. And how does one man have the effect? Like, I read that, man, and it like ignites a fire in me. How does one man in a world war have that effect in order to have that very clear why on what he's doing, and then why
Mm.
what he's doing for the team, for his country? um Man, it's powerful, and just everything there is selfless. I will save, I will sacrifice, I will endure, fight cheerfully, not because he has to, but because he gets to. He's part of something and he knows it. He's part of something special. He's not trying to be mediocre. He's not trying to be good. He's trying to be great for something that he truly has faith and believes in, man. Um, I want to speak like that about everything I do in my life. Like I want to do everything in my life cheerfully. I will endure hard times. I will sacrifice other things for the greater uh, things that I have in my life, my relationships, my friendships, my teammates. Um, it's just a beautiful message, man. And I just wanted to end with that little piece of history there, but very, very, very powerful. Private Treptow, you can read. He was with the famed Rainbow Division in World War One.
Mate, I love it. Act as if the entire outcome depends on my efforts,
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like we can give up on ourselves and play down our own impact. And we know that other people, we all know people who are great at things, and yet I feel like we often act like the outcome doesn't depend on us in some areas. And I think that quote is like an absolute key part of what we're talking about here. And I love that you shared it, man. That was great.
Yeah.
Wow. All right, everybody. That's I'm ripped up now. I want to go to the gym and exercise. Love these chats, Mike. And thank you to everyone for stopping by and sharing them with us. Leave us a review and share this out into your community. Subscribe, like, all of those sorts of things. It does help with the algorithm and getting this message out there. And until next week, take care.